Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. Tonight, you will be joining Rotting Ricky and Asylum Amy as they play host to some of the true movers and shakers in the indie horror scene. So lock your doors, check under the bed, and get comfortable, because here we go.
And I'm Sylvia Saska, and we're the Saska Sisters. And this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Indie Horror Junkie!
We're a panic attack!
Indie Horror Junkie!
Woo! Indie Horror Junkies!
Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Good evening,
Hello.
Junkies, Asylum Amy, and Rotting Ricky D in the house for episode number 74. Every week I say the new episode, and it still trips me out how many that we've done already. But episode 74 of the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. We have a really cool show lined up tonight. Here soon, we're going to bring in our buddy Jared Tipton. He is the winner of the Best of the Fest short film for our most recent Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival at MegaCon Orlando. So we're going to talk anything and everything indie horror with him. But first, let's kind of get caught up. What's going on, Ron and Ricky?
Lots of stuff going on. Obviously, like you and I talk all the time, we were still coming down from the amazing film festival that we had. So we're going to be gathering our notes, our pictures, our videos, all kinds of stuff, and be showing them here shortly. To try and get some stuff out of the way, I guess, before we introduce our guest, we've got The Clock, which is now available on Blu-ray as of the 25th. So you can get it on Amazon.com. If you want to get it streaming, you can get it some of the various streaming services available. But definitely with the Blu-ray, you can get some bonus features, including audio commentary and a little featurette on where the actual storyline came from. So, and then, of course, if you want to talk about the cover of our latest issue.
Yeah, issue number 14 right here that we kicked off for the month of January, first issue of the year. We have Screenboat, you guys. We had the pleasure of having the cast and crew and creatives behind this film at MegaCon Orlando for a special fan screening. And it just went off with a bang. Like, we filled the house and pulled in 100 seats last minute, and everyone absolutely loved this film, the concept. It's just a fun horror comedy with amazing practical special effects. The pacing was so much fun. This is going to hit theaters on April the 2nd. So you guys get out there and support indie horror. That's why we are here. We're not backed by a studio when we're hitting, these limited theatrical releases like Screenboat is. So it's really important on the 2nd and the 3rd to show up in theaters and show up for these guys, because if they get enough numbers and enough people in these seats, then they'll get an extended release and they get more time and more dates in the theater, which is the goal for indie horror. So get your friends, round everybody up, buy a whole row, show up, and support these amazing filmmakers. That's what we're here to do. Next, coming up, we have the March issue number 15, which, crazy enough, is going to be the 2-year anniversary of Indie Horror Junkie. So we're going to be celebrating, what we've been doing for the past 2 years, and, the fun that we've had, out and about meeting, filmmakers and creatives and actors and directors and producers, musicians, artists, comic book artists, you name it, other podcasters. We've been so privileged to be able to connect with so many people and connect each other, and that's what this platform is all about. So we're going to be celebrating for sure 2 years of Indie Horror Junkie. We hope that you guys will celebrate with us, because we couldn't do this without you, and you're the reason that we do what we do in the first place. So keep an eye out for a special Indie Horror Junkie cover that we have. We don't want to give too much away, but keep an eye on our social media. March 1st, we are going to drop the cover, which Rick and I are pretty excited about. It was just a collaborative project that Rick and I really wanted to incorporate everything we love about this brand and what we do. So keep an eye out for March 1st, and the full magazine will be out on March 13th. We're going to have tons of coverage of the film festivals, the winners, the events, lots of great movies we're going to be covering. So just keep an eye out for that, available in digital and print at indiehorrorjunkie.com.
Mm-hmm. All right. You want to talk about our guest here before we drop the trailer?
Yeah, we got Jared Tipton in the house, writer, director, and producer of the short film The Parcel. He got the award for Best of the Fest 2025 at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest at MegaCon Orlando. The judges immediately fell in love with this film. We're going to show the trailer to give you a little taste why. So let's go ahead and roll that out, and then we'll bring Jared on and get to talking about this fun film.
All right, here you go. The Parcel.
Shit.
Don't be nervous. You got this.
I just don't want to blow it.
Mr. Linefoot?
Who the hell are you?
With TDS? Your package?
You're doing a wonderful job. You're a good boy.
There we go.
Oh, man.
It's just not even enough. And I know it's a short film, so it's hard to have more than just that. But a really fun, character-driven short film. Jared, welcome to the show. Why don't you kind of give everybody a quick synopsis of this film, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, sure. No, thanks for having me on. It's just awesome. As we were mentioning before, it's awesome to have a platform to just get on and discuss short films. That's just not something that you get to do every day. So I appreciate the platform and had a blast at the festival. You mentioned Screamboat at the beginning. That was an insane screening.
It was so much fun.
That was awesome. And I looked down and yes, there's the issue. See,
There it is.
There you go.
It was so fun because the house was packed and the energy was so hype. Like everyone was so excited. And that whole line that went down our hallway and then wrapped around another hallway, I think the energy was building for over an hour. So once everybody finally got to flood in and sit down, it was just a really fun experience for everybody. So I'm glad you could be there to share that with us.
Yeah, awesome. And there was even like a little sound technical thing, right, that delayed the start of it, but it only built the anticipation. I think everybody was just pumped up for it. So
everyone was excited to just get a sneak peek.
Definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, I concur. Everybody should get out to the theater and support that film.
Yes.
But as far as The Parcel, so the concept for me was just what would happen if your typical Amazon delivery guy showed up at a house and kind of interrupted somebody who is maybe up to no good, up to something nefarious. And it's hard to give away, talk about it too much without giving it all away, but you can only imagine that things don't go as planned. It's not just delivering a package. And so that was the core concept. And I tend, everything I write, I tend to end up with some kind of comedy twist to it. I can't help it. I like kind of character things, where it's you've got a character and that's really the Alec character, Mr. Linefoot, who answers the door. You see it in the trailer. And from there, we just went wild with it. Yeah.
And Alec Gillis, he is, who you saw answer the door. He is a character actor and he tends to lead towards those roles. How did you go about casting him? Did you write this with him in mind? How did that all work out? Because he was nothing short of perfect for this role and so much fun to watch.
He just owned it from the beginning. And I wrote it with him in mind. I met him years ago on a crowdfunded project that he put together called Harbinger Down. And it was after he had sort of a sour experience with the practical effects in the I guess you call it the sequel to The Thing, the 2011 version. And
because he's known for his special effects. That's what he does.
Yeah. They did a whole bunch of practical effects and then they replaced him. And he was so soured by that. He's like, I'm going to go make a film. And so they crowdfunded it. And I ended up down on the set of that. And we've just been in contact ever since. And we've worked on a few projects here and there. And I've seen him over time do these bits. Like, I don't know if you've seen on Netflix, the Oat Studio stuff with Neil Blomkamp, who did all these shorts and they put them together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he was in there. He plays Cooking with Bill and Bad President. And he's actually, and I could see he eats up these little like strange character things, right? So I reached out to him. I asked Ben, because Ben was the DP on his Harbinger Down film, and I said, Ben, do you think Alec would do this? And he goes, just ask him. So I did it, got a call immediately. He's like, oh yeah, I want to do this.
Which is the best feeling in the world, because sometimes you do have a certain actor or actress in mind and it's like, oh, like I'm afraid to, but sometimes really it is just that simple, is just ask.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt. Yes. Right? It doesn't hurt. And he goes, first he said, well, send me the script. Right. And then I got a call immediately about, this is in my wheelhouse. I can absolutely do this. And then he got all crazy with it. He's like, he wanted to shave his head and go bald, and he had all these ideas. And ultimately he backed away from the shaving the head because he was on another project at the time, and he thought he would just,
that's so funny.
Yeah, he would be made fun of going back to work. But, no, he really got into it and owned it. And his schedule is just crazy though. So that was the problem, is just finding time to do it. And of course we ended up shooting on just some hot days, in the mid 90s, and you can't even tell in the film. It looks like a nice day, but it was brutally hot. And but it worked out.
And you guys filmed this in California, correct?
Yeah, in LA, in the LA area, Southern California. Yeah.
And what was the span of time you guys spent on this? How many days?
So 2 days of actual on-set production, plus another day to film the title sequence and do a couple pickup shots.
Gotcha.
So I always say 3 days total, because that's really what it was.
That's perfect. It's kind of hard to fit a short film into 2 days and get everything. It can be done, but then those days get really, really long. We always like to have that third safety day as well for pickup shots and B-roll and just a nice safety net so that, you're not overworking everybody. But I love what you did with the comedy in this film. It hit, it worked. The fans loved it at the film festival. The judges loved it, obviously. I know you mentioned you always tend to go with a little bit of comedy underneath. Have you ever done any straight horror? And what is your take on that?
I have, and I do have sort of a kind of a combination creature revenge horror thing that's a short that I'd love to do. And again, I'm kind of thinking maybe Alec could be in that again. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I'm going to throw it out there to him. Yeah, exactly. I'll throw it out there to him maybe. But so that one does not have comedy. But then another two short scripts I'm looking at are like, man, these have a lot of comedy again. Like, what is my deal here? But I fell in love with, it goes way back to like, the earliest exposure I have to horror stuff was like Abbott and Costello, right? Saturday morning. So I just love that stuff. That's the only connection I can think of, is that somewhere in my my brain stem is embedded this comedy horror thing. But those to me were like some of the original comedy horrors, right? And they work because they treat the monsters as real, and they honor their kind of commitment to that. They don't make the you know, Dracula and the Mummy all goofy, you know, they play them straight. But I love those, grew up on those, and I don't know. So that's all I could think of. Yeah, I kind of continue to infuse it. But yeah, I've done some straight horror, and I really love straight horror stuff. I really do. So
I mean, we all love both. The good straight horror. There's so many subgenres of it, let's be honest, but you cannot go wrong, in my opinion, with a horror comedy. There's nothing better than a fun watch, you know, that is something like a good rewatch, a good fun watch. And that to me is what this is. What were some of your other inspirations as a filmmaker growing up?
Oh gosh, I mean, the John Carpenter stuff, his run from like the late 70s through the 80s was just like unbelievable run of film.
Unstoppable.
Yeah, I was like, when, you know, are you going to make a bad film? Eventually they made some stuff that I'm not too, you know, wild about, but it was a crazy. And then I love the George Romero Dead movies. I mean, you know, today I find it amazing that you could go to the theater and see Terrifier or Terrifier 3 recently, unrated, with a wide distribution. And I'm like, back in '85, I had to fight to get find a theater that played the unrated Day of the Dead. I don't know if you guys remember that, right? And it was like, he did release that unrated, and it was crazy. But
it is amazing, and they broke the record. They're the highest grossing unrated film of all time.
Yeah, incredible. Amazing.
Terrifier 3. It is incredible.
Amazing. So if it's horror, I will watch it, period. I will watch it, you know, and I'm guessing you are much the same way. If it's horror, it looks good and interesting.
You're in good company on that. Yeah, we'll watch. And Rick and I, we're into different things too. So I'm like, have you seen this? Have you seen that? You know, go watch this, go watch that. Because there's so much to keep up with. You can't even keep up with it all, especially the underground indie stuff. There's really just a flood of films out there, and there's so many subgenres that you kind of have to have your buddies to talk horror with, like, what should I be watching that's different? What have you been looking at? So, but that's what makes indie so fun. It's kind of just this endless imagination of, you know, films. You never run out of things to watch.
And it's not just enjoying watching the horror movies, like you said, but we're filmmakers. So as filmmakers, to me, every movie I watch that I enjoy, I'll pick up little things here and there, something that I may want to try, or it may spark my imagination. Oh man, maybe I should write something along these lines and do that. So I think it's not just the enjoyment of the films itself, but it's also inspiration.
100%, 100%. And I love finding those lost films I never saw. Like, how did I not see this? You know,
Yeah.
you uncover, like, how did I not find this one? You know, and I'm sure they're still out there that I haven't seen, even though I've seen a lot. So,
Rick, do we have any BTS photos from the shoot that we could throw up real quick? And
you mean from the turning?
no, from the parcel, you ding dong.
Oh my God! Yes, I'm sorry.
We've got
Right,
we've
yes.
got the turning on the brain for a different reason, but
Absolutely, yeah. We got the pictures that I showed you prior to. I'm going to get and bring them up here, and if you could just kind of let people know what's going on.
yeah, let's check those out. They're fun.
oh gosh, you got Alec with a severed head here. He's in full gear. The one of the biggest challenges was these locations. That was a chunk of our budget, right? Is locations, and it's always tough, and just paranoid about getting blood all over the house. Because we knew we were going to be right up to the end of the day. Like, I mean, it was coming down to the wire. We had to make a couple of creative choices throughout the day to fit it all in. But yeah, there he is. He's doing his thing, getting ready to come out as Linefoot, holding the severed head.
Nice.
Oh man, he wanted to shave his head, and he was determined he was going to do a set of false teeth. So that's the artist that created the teeth for him. And this is literally the picture he sent me. He says, "Hey, what do you think?" So he texted me the photo. I said, "It looks great, man. That's awesome." The idea was like he's a bunch of, like, you know, misaligned stuff, right? So it's like the teeth are too white, they're spaced apart. He's dressed a little bit like Napoleon Dynamite from a couple of different things. Don't make sense with him, you know? So that was kind of the idea.
Yeah. Lots of tarp.
Lots of tarp everywhere, man. We were getting ready to get bloody here. Yeah.
Okay.
That's day 2. So we actually shot kind of reverse order, and that's day 2 as the interiors we're doing there, and that's literally at the end there. That scene, yeah.
All right, and the next picture here probably should have a warning label, so anybody who does not want to see any human genitalia or fake, please turn your head at this moment.
The real dick pic.
Oh God. Okay. There's the humor coming in, and that is me doing some testing with the team. We're actually at our buddy Dan, who's a really talented artist and did all the effects work on this, and we're at his shop doing some testing. Yeah.
Very funny stuff.
Very talented artist. And of course that is part of the film, which is, it's just a funny film. It will definitely keep you laughing. So
I did have a question real quick though. When you, on one of the pictures you mentioned about, I think the very first picture we showed with the tarp and being scared about getting everything bloody, because you were saying that a lot of the budget went towards locations and stuff. Yeah. Obviously you filmed in LA, where everybody films and stuff, so you pretty much need permits and everything for everything. We're so spoiled with Florida where we can get locations a lot of times for nothing because people just want to be a part of making a movie. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the really difficult things that you had to deal with filming in the movie capital of the world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yep, all of that you mentioned is accurate. And it was a compromise because I wanted Alec in the film. I knew that he would make it better, right? And so that's what you want. I want to reach for the stars, so to speak, and get Alec if I can to be in this, because I knew that he would do a great job, and he did. But that also meant I had to shoot it down south, closer to him, to make it work with his schedule. So unfortunately, that upped my budget, because all the locations in LA, everybody there knows that they're shooting, and everybody's kind of there to take advantage of you, right? In some way with their locations. And we went and toured a bunch of houses, and I was very particular what I was looking for with the entrance. Like, it needed to be accessible. It needed to work with the way that the car would come in, all that. So everything from like road noise to owners that didn't want, once we told them what we were looking at doing, oh no, I don't want that in my house, or whatever. So those kind of challenges just, it's an issue. It's an issue again. And I think cost was the main thing. If you cannot do that, I would highly recommend it, because I could have saved a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
I feel like you kind of get to a point where you're like, let's just get this film made.
Yep.
You get so far deep into it that you just have to be willing to problem solve along the way, and know and understand going into it that things are probably going to come up that you're not prepared for, and you have to be willing to work with that in order to get the film done. So it sounds like that's what you did, and we're glad that you did, but doesn't make it any easier. And we do like talking about the behind the scenes of making films, because it's not, all fun and games. It's a lot of planning and preparation and the pre-production, and, being so over prepared that you can be flexible on set when things come up and you kind of already know what your plan B is going to be.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things for me to make sure that we got what we wanted was to make sure that me and Ben Brown, the DP, were in lockstep sync, right, with what we were doing. And we spent about 6 hours one night, and that was like kind of the transformative moment where I knew I felt good about like going in, because I would say, I want to do this, and he'd be like, well, are we doing a steady cam? And I'm like, well, I was thinking handheld here, or this not hand. I said, and then we're like, well, we can't do that. It's going to create this kind of setup, right? And that's going to take too long. So I literally storyboarded the thing myself with kind of like pie in the sky, what I want to do. But then we went and we created our shot list so that we were 100% in sync. So that once we were on, I didn't have to say what's our next shot. We knew what we were doing, right? It was just
speaking my love language.
It was bing, bang, boom. And it was already, we knew what the setup was and what we got and what we were doing. And that was,
it keeps you on time.
Yeah, that was super important because even still things happen, things happen, whether there's a shot out of focus or it's not working like you thought, there's stuff that doesn't work like you thought. Right. But overall, that was the biggest thing, is just getting our shot list 100% in sync. And I felt really good going in.
And I think that's a big deal. And I talk to lots of filmmakers all the time when they talk about stuff like that. And to me, the biggest thing is basically having the movie done in pre-production. Yep. Between the shot list, the call sheets and everything, and having everything in order. The shot list, like Amy said, not just helps you keep on time and everything, but it also makes sure that you get all the angles and all the shots that you feel you need. Because I don't know how many times I've been on set and you think afterwards or whatever, man, I wish I would have got a different angle there. Or, man, I wish we'd have got coverage from this or something like that. And that's what helps you make sure that you get everything you need. Plus also it helps that editor. That editor is going to love you knowing that I've got stuff to cut to. I've got coverage to go to. So it's really, really important. So the more you do in prep, the much easier time you'll have on set.
I don't know how people function without it. I don't want to run a set without it. Between the communication with the DP and the directors and the first AD, because you've got cast that's waiting on you that need to know, what are we doing next? And if they already know their scenes in order and what's being shot, whenever you're setting up that next shot or the reverse shot of it, they already know what they're going to be doing. And so they're already mentally prepping and getting into that. No one's guessing what's going on, but it keeps the core filmmakers and DPs and directors all on the same page. So at the end of the day, like Rick said, you got everything that you need. It's an editor's dream, and you have a lot to play with once you get into post-production.
Yeah, no, that's nailed spot on. And I, so much so that things were such a blur with this one, because it was like 2 12-hour, 13-hour days back to back, right? And afterwards, we all drank so much water, just trying to stay cool. And we swore in our minds that we missed a couple shots. And we're like, yeah, I don't think we got that. But when we went through the footage, we had the shots. And it was like, we got the shots. So we were thinking, oh no, we're going to have to go beg the property owners on these locations to go pick up a couple shots on the location. We didn't have to do that. So, and
they were probably real quick shots that you were able to just get 100%. Because you were already set up. And so you slid it in because you were so prepared. You're like, oh, I can if we're already got this set up, then I can slide this in from day 2 into day 1. And now it all works.
You got it. Exactly. Yeah. Like the low shot as he's looking in the box, we're like, no, I don't think we got that. Nope, we got it. And then there was one of the house just while he's waiting in anticipation, and nope, we got that too. So it all worked out. I mean, it worked out good. I mean, there's a couple of things like we fell victim to the old fix that in post. And then in post, I mean, it was like in post, we're like, why didn't we just take that off the wall? And then we had to go through and digitally remove it, and it was a pain. But no, it worked out. And I think that prep before was so key, because I don't know who just has the time to stand around and just make up shots or just to figure out on set. Oh, we'll figure out no. I think you really need to go in super prepared, because especially when the money is my money that I'm putting on the line.
Yeah, and if you don't get it all done in those 2-3 days, then you're paying everybody else to come back and do a 4th day, which you want to avoid.
Yep.
But it's kind of like either stress out and get it done in pre-production, or stress out when you're on set. And nobody wants to work with stressed out people on set. That is not the vibe. That is not the culture. That is not what anybody's trying to do. Because if you have a bunch of actors that are ready to go, and you don't have your shit together, they're never going to work with you again. They're going to feel that. They're going to see it. And you're not going to get that yes the second time around.
Totally. And I'll share one thing. Like Alec called me on the day after we shot, and he just got, I don't know, sometimes I think we just had a really good vibe on the set. Like it was just a good, fun shoot. Everybody had time. But he got such a shot in the arm out of this first. Like, I think he feels like he's been in a lot of like big sloggy studio projects, doing effects stuff or doing just pre-production that never actually ends up with like doing a lot of design work that then they just take to digital. The practical stuff is kind of, you know what I mean? And so he was like pitching me like, we could turn this into a feature. I want to do this character more. I'm like, well, I don't know. We'll see, but he had a great time. And I think
that's so cool.
Yeah, everybody enjoyed it. Despite the heat and everything, everybody had a good time. We had a blast making it.
And that's just a compliment to you as the writer and director, but also to the production as a whole. Like, he felt so comfortable and had so much fun on set. Like, that's what you want your cast and crew to feel. You want them to want to come back and work with you. You don't want to feel like you wasted anybody's time because you didn't do your job and they all showed up to do theirs. So
exactly. And I wasn't a stickler. Some people are like, this is the way it's written in the script. This dialogue is how it's written, and you must say it exactly like that. And that's fine if that's the approach you want to take. But for this project, I wanted to create, like, this is what I'm trying to convey, and I want you to play with it a little bit too. Because as I think I mentioned to you before, Robin and Andrew are actual real life husband and wife, right? So the way it was written works, but I wanted to see what would you really do so that it comes across as natural and kind of,
you see that relationship.
Yeah, I don't. And then Robin's like, well, I wouldn't really do that. What would you do with him in the morning? What would you do? I'd come out and I'd kiss him on the shoulder and we'd do this. I said, well, that's what you should do. I want that to come across. Otherwise, why are we doing the two of you? We're doing it so that it plays as natural as possible. And then of course with Alec, I said, no, I want you to riff on stuff a little bit and have some fun with it, So that's what we did. Yeah.
And actors love that. Actors love the trust if you give that to them to be able to play and be flexible, because Rick and I, we say this all the time. That's when the magic happens because it is so organic and so grounded because it's coming from an authentic place. And if you can give them the freedom to kind of improv, like maybe get your take that's, word perfect, but then let them play, let them do their job. They're there for a reason. They got that far. They got to set because they're good at what they do. Let them show you that,
100%. I am not an actor. That's not my thing, even though I've acted in my little cheesy movies here and there. And I just respect the heck out of that craft. And so why are they there if you're not going to let them magnify that and bring it out, right? And bring something to it. So no, and I just appreciate so much what they did. In fact, at the we didn't let them see anything. Alec was like constantly pounding, let me see some shots, let me see something. We rented a screening room on the Warner Brothers set and did the Warner Brothers studio and did a cast and crew screening there, right? It wasn't that expensive. I was shocked. I was like, okay. And that was awesome. So we got the little screening room and went on the studio lot, and that's the first time they saw it, and that was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
That sounds amazing. Let's go back to Ben. He's your DP. He's also an incredible musician, and he ended up doing the score for this film. How did all that? Was that the original plan? How did all that happen?
He's super talented, so that's one of the things that I love working with Ben about, is that he can also do the music to the film as well. So not only can he DP it, he can write the music. And we were just looking at all kinds of scores, and it's difficult because, what's the tone for a comedy horror? It's like, do you go kind of light and, or do you play into the horror and let the comedy kind of play against that? And we both felt like Bernard Herrmann-ish kind of vibe was starting to come through in what we were doing. And that's, I've kind of had a little Reanimator vibe in there with what I was thinking. And then we're sitting in the editing suite, and he pulled out the Psycho score and threw that on. It was the weirdest thing ever. It like cut with the film, and it created this weird juxtaposition with what was happening. Like there's a tension, it creates a tension. Like there's a tension, he's driving up and then he's doing this. And we're like, this is so bizarre. This is so bizarre that this is like works. And so that was the inspiration. We kind of took the Psycho score a little bit and played off of that.
That's so cool. I love that, because you guys know I love a good score. It makes the film. It's we listen to just soundtracks a lot in my house, and it could be anything from horror to Disney. Like, it doesn't matter. But to me, it's such an important aspect of the film that cannot be overlooked, because it really can make or break the entire project.
Totally. We over the pandemic, we were looking for something to do, And we shot a little tiny short called The Applicant. That was kind of almost it was like a micro short. And just as things were shutting down for COVID, right? And then we were like, okay, well, we edited that and kind of did our thing there. I think I ended up cutting that film, and I went back into my old footage of stuff that I had shot years ago, right, on analog. And I said, what if we took this stuff that was never cut and cut it? And then Ben wrote the score for it. And that's what The Preacher is, that little poster behind me. It was actually shot on analog, VHS, and we cut it in like 2020 or 2021 and gave it a modern score and all this kind of stuff. And it was just that was a very fascinating project to
That's
resurrect.
So cool.
Yeah.
Can we watch that anywhere?
Yeah, it's on my channel. And
Okay.
you can check it out on my YouTube channel. Yeah, that's The Preacher, and that was wild. And we put it out to festivals, and festivals like ate that up, like the kind of retro look. One of them even asked us, they said, what was the filter you used for that? I'm like, no, man, that was shot in the late 80s. It was like, yeah. And that was a fun project to do, and everybody's just stuck at home.
Well, Fire Monster here said that he saw the parcel at the Horror Fest International in Southern Utah. So
Yeah.
the show.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that was a good one. They had that opening night. They showed the parcel. That was pretty good. Yeah, that went over
Very cool.
well. Yeah.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, what is the indie film scene like in California? I mean, over here in Florida, I think it's vibrant. I mean, we've got a lot of people, we've got a lot of Facebook groups and stuff like that, a lot of meet and greets and a lot of things like that going on. But what's it like over there in the middle of Hollywood?
Oh boy. I think not as much work as there was a while back. Let's put it that way. And that's why for me on this film, I wasn't going to say, hey, can you come and do some favors? And people were grateful to have the work and to be on a project that was going to get, paid. And that was important to me, to make sure people get paid. I don't know what the indie, it's hard to say because it's all kind of feels mixed up to me with Hollywood and independent stuff here and there. I think in Northern California, I can speak to that. There's not a lot, to be honest with you. It's not a big hotbed there's a little bit in the San Francisco Bay Area, but it's not as prevalent as it is in Southern California, just the filmmaking industry as a whole. But a lot of short stuff that happens, but I don't know. I mean, like the festival scene for me, with like the parcel, there's not a lot that it's going to in Southern California. A lot of my things are like out of state, Atlanta, Florida, New York, Chicago, Phoenix. They have a nice filmmaking community out there. It feels still too Hollywood to me, and in this like some of the festivals in LA, it's all celebrity driven and things like that. You know what I'm saying? And so the true indie stuff are in these other pockets within the country that I really feel that vibe. The person here just mentioned the Horror Fest International in southern Utah. That's an awesome one as well. So again, I've said this before. You guys, what you're creating there with Indie Horror Junkie is amazing. I mean, it's got this culture, this vibe that you're building. That's why I jumped on a plane and flew across the country and came out to the festival, because it's just awesome, and it was fun to be a part of.
We're glad you did, because we got some fun pics with you too.
Yeah, for sure. But I guess I'm not totally answering the question, but it's not. I don't feel that indie horror thing.
Yeah.
Necessarily in California in per se. I'll tell you, I will say this. I'll throw a shout out to Sacramento area. The parcel played at the Sacramento Film Festival, and that was a packed house, and that was pretty good. So they've got something going on there. It's weird. You go to some of these, and it's interesting, the sort of culture that they build around some of these festivals. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, and thank you for what you said about our festival. Like we kind of talked about in the pre-show, that kind of feedback coming from the filmmakers themselves. Like there's no better, drive that you could give us to keep going and to keep pushing and to keep, raising the bar for ourselves to give the filmmakers a better and better experience every year. And it is important to us because we are filmmakers and we know what we would want out of a festival and, paying a submission fee and what you get out of that. And again, just what we talked about before, like even if they don't get selected, we can still give them some constructive criticism or some positive feedback or what we liked or what we thought didn't work, because a filmmaker needs honest opinions from other filmmakers. And we're lucky that the majority of the people that we have on our judges panel are either filmmakers, actors, valid, huge lovers of horror. So we're very specific about who we bring in to judge these films because it matters to us and it matters to you guys. So like just to hear that you had a great experience means everything to us. And we're excited for number 3, which we're launching March 1st.
I'll just put the shout out again. If any of the filmmakers out there are looking to this festival that you guys are putting on here, it should be a must submit for people, 100%. And
well, you're going to have to go make another film so you can come back again next year.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I need to figure that out and get that going. And
or at least come so you can hand off the short film award to the next recipient. Come be a part of the ceremony. So you're officially invited to do that.
Okay. That's kind of a cool idea. I like that. And the trophy, by the way, is so cool.
Do we have a picture of that, Rick?
I will momentarily. Hold on.
The trophy is fun.
Super cool. Yeah, it's super well done, well designed. And you guys have lightning in a bottle. That's my opinion. You guys have something very unique and it's got a good vibe. And that's important. When you show up, you just want to feel welcomed and you want to feel like these are my people. You know what I mean? And I could tell that before I even came out there. I'm like, okay, I think this is a good situation.
That makes us feel good when we're working hard every day. Like, other people are feeling our energy and our vibe and what we're putting out there, because the brand is so important to us. And we want it to be a place where people can network and collaborate and come together. And, like I've said this a million times, Rick and I met at a film festival. That's how our relationship started. And then we went, on one project, and then with the brand, and now we do everything together. And it is important to get out there with your film and take a trip or two. If you're going to put the time and effort into making the film and spend the money on the film submissions, find those certain festivals that you feel aligned with, that you feel like, okay, this is a good city, this is a location, I've done my research, everybody has good feedback on this. Get out there and network, because you never know what kind of opportunities are going to come of that. And that is, for us, that's part of what we do,
it's
just
a big part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, like take care of it, keep going with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just look at
what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
That is awesome. Yeah, look at that trophy. That's so cool. And, Rick's looking at it like, don't drop it.
And it was so fun because when I met you, I was like, oh, we get to give him an award, and I couldn't tell you, and I had to shut up the whole weekend.
You and I chatted on email, and I didn't want to give it away because I had known at that time. So I just said, hey, it might be in your best interest to come, without really actually telling you.
Yeah, I think you just said, I said, man, I think I might want to come out there. He said, yeah, you might want to. And I was like, yeah, but I just was feeling, again, the feedback cards, that is unique. I'm telling you right now, out of the festivals I've had, I don't know, 4 or 5 films on the festival circuit at this point. That's unique. Giving that card with a nice layout and the feedback is awesome. And I shared it with the whole cast and crew, and I think even Alex said,
so cool.
can't get better feedback than that, or better comments than that, because the comments were hilarious and good and accurate.
Well, to me, it serves 2 purposes. It shows you that your film was viewed. For a fact. Yes. I've had that question myself so many times when I've submitted stuff. Did they even watch it? Did they just watch the trailer and discard it? Now your film was viewed. You got thorough feedback from people that actually liked it and gave you that feedback. So that was important, because I wanted people to feel that they know their movie was viewed, their movie was judged. But also, I told our judges, make sure you give some constructive feedback, whether it be good or bad or whatever. Give them something they can grow from, something they can take and help them on their way. Because that's what I always wanted as a filmmaker. So I figured you guys would as well.
And shout out to our incredible judges, because I know some of y'all are watching tonight.
Oh no, for sure. I talked with several of them at the festival, and it was great. It was great to hear.
And they're a part of that. Like I said, we're a team of filmmakers and actors and producers and just lovers of horror films and the horror genre. And it's fun to see everybody's notes on the back end of all of our note taking on the portal that we use to for our film selections through Film Freeway. We can all communicate with each other on the back end. So it is cool to see everybody, like just internally, to see everyone's reactions and feedback, because we got to know what everybody's thinking. That's how we decide who wins those categories.
Yeah, no, for sure. I appreciate that. I know it's a slog sometimes to go through all these submissions and stuff. Yeah. I've been a judge for, 3 or 4 years on. A buddy of mine runs a 72-hour film fest, and every year I know it's coming in October, and he's like, "Hey, will you do the judging again?" I'm sure, and there's probably 32 films that were created, and and they're anywhere from 5 to 10 minute type stuff, and of various quality in 72 hours, you can imagine, right? And so it's I know that. For me, I take that seriously as well. Like, I'm not going to not watch every single movie and make notes and do all that kind of stuff as well. So
yeah, it's like, as an actor, like, our question to a casting director always is, do you watch our entire audition? Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, the casting directors, they really are true to their craft. And if you took the time as an actor, like if they selected you and invited you to audition, and you took the time to create that self-tape and you put yourself into that character and delivered this role to them in your most authentic way, like, they should be watching the whole thing. So I kind of feel that way as an actor, but as a filmmaker, it's like they need to be watching what we did fully from beginning to end. The film that won, Sigil, and they'll be on the show next week, that was a slow burn. That was a slow burn film. But once it hit, oh my God, it hit. What am I watching? This just got wild, And had I quit, because it is a slow burn, had I not watched the whole thing, they wouldn't have won Best Feature, but they did, because that was just their style, very kind of A24, a different pace, more artistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to watch these films. You got to give those filmmakers their money's worth, because they're giving their money to you, and they deserve feedback. Everybody deserves it.
Yeah, you make a great point on watching only a certain part of it. I've talked with other folks who've judged things, and sometimes they're told, oh, you only have to watch the first minute or two, and if it's not doing it, then move on to the next. And I just shake my head like, what? And so I'll tell you, this is what I get in the Hollywood area, is what I hear is they're, well, okay, then we'll have to change it. So I always try to put something, I've heard filmmakers say, I always try to put something really, hardcore right at the beginning. So I make sure they understand what this film is about. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still narrative storytelling. And if you want to build with a slow burn, or you have a style, come on. I mean, especially short films, it's sub 10 minutes for my film. It's like, you can't are we all suffering from so much ADHD? We can't watch,
It's insulting, honestly. And it goes back to acting too, and casting directors. You just sent me 10 pages of dialogue that needs to be turned in 24 hours, and you're only going to watch a minute of it. Like, I didn't even get to my character arc yet. Like, you can't even see what I did. And so that's how I see the judges as far as these films. Like, we owe them that.
Absolutely. And I have heard stuff like that as far as with screenplays. I have heard old stories about the screenplays being sent into the studios and stuff like that, and they'll have those readers before they pass them on for and those readers, they say, if you don't catch us in the first 5 minutes, it just gets tossed on the heap. And it's like, how many really good scripts are out there that probably took a little bit longer than 5 minutes to really get into it, and you didn't even give it the benefit of the doubt. So I don't know. I guess it's the situation. But we felt very strongly in making sure we watched all the films, had a number of judges that went through and watched every single film, because like Amy said, we feel that you guys you guys are owed that. You paid your money to send it into us. We wanted to give you your money's worth, truly watch your film, and if we pushed it through, give you your feedback, give you your chance to get up there with your 15 minutes and get out there and mingle and be a part of that whole thing and make you feel like you're the star that you should be. I mean, you deserve that. So
yeah, and that's a great point, because as short films, that's all we got.
Yeah,
you're not going to get monetized in any way, right? I mean, ultimately, the parcel will probably end up on my YouTube channel after it runs its course, because I missed the early part of the horror season. I only caught the end, right? So I'll probably let it run through, October, early October or whatever, but then it'll end up on the channel. What am I? You're not going to get. You're not going to get your money out of it. That's my point. There's no way to monetize a feature film. That's a different case, but that's all we have here are these festivals and other folks to enjoy it and to connect and make those connections and so forth. So,
and you may never know. The parcel may end up getting picked up to be put on like an anthology or something like that.
You read my mind, Rick Danford.
I knew you were thinking that too.
I know. I'm like, I'm gonna text Rick so bad right now.
I have thought of that 100%. Like I would, because with an anthology, all you need is a good wraparound, right? And then you can come up with 3 or 4 little stories in between, and suddenly you got a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, Alec, if you go to his channel on I think it's Studio ADI is his YouTube channel, he's got a really cool one called Playtime, and it's kind of a take on the Chucky character, right? And so
Studio AI.
Yeah, Studio AI, ADI. I'm sorry, Studio ADI, and the short is called Playtime, and it's this. And I'm thinking, man, if I could just make one more short, and then there's a wraparound. Could you put Playtime in there? And Playtime's cool, is really cool short. So.
Well, I think those anthologies are a great way also, because I've made short films before I started making feature films as well. And like you said, once they do the festival run and you put them on YouTube, whatever, for the most part, they're just digital calling cards. But if you get the opportunity to add it to an anthology, sure, you're not going to get the monetization that you would like, but it gives your short new life. It gets to be put in front of a whole new audience and gets more people to look at it.
Totally. So, hey, I'm open to it. You come up with some ideas. We'll put the parcel in, and we'll make an anthology out of it.
Way ahead of you, brother.
Okay. All right. I love it.
Us sick and twisted and can never turn our brains off. So,
but that's what I love, and that's why I know I was amongst my people when I was going to go out there, because I looked at what you were putting in the festival. I mean, like the Mutilator sequel. I was like, I gotta see
this. Right? Wasn't that so much fun to have them there, and Buddy Cooper and Bill Hitchcock
and the fact that the original folks were there to make the sequel all these years later. Hopefully we don't wait another 40 years for the part 3 or whatever, but
already begging them.
Yeah, that's a lost one from the 80s that not everybody knows, right? And it's like the real hardcore horror folks, they know about the Mutilator because the gore was off the chart.
We had them on the podcast. I had caught wind of the Mutilator 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to get them on and talk about this. And so I reached out, and they gave me an email, and I'm like, that says Buddy Cooper. That can't be Buddy Cooper. And it was. Right? And he responded, and we ended up doing a write-up in the Indie Horror Junkie magazine and gave them a nice featured article. And then we brought him on the podcast, and kind of like what happened with Alec Gillis, we just asked, hey, would you guys like to come to the film festival and screen it? And they said yes. And I told Rick, I said, I'm more excited about this than anything because I love the original 1984. I think it's so much fun. And so to have them, especially Buddy and Bill and Ruthie, come out, it was just such a fun treat. So I'm glad that you enjoyed that too, because like you said, if you love horror, like that film, but it's kind of one of those that maybe you didn't know, but now that people saw the second one, they might want to go back and watch the first one.
Yeah, and they did a great job. It managed to capture the same vibe as the one in 84. And I'm like, that is a feat in and of itself. And it's just like, and so, yeah. And I like I said, I think I own a copy of it. That's Fall Break is what it was called. And this, yeah. And no, that's a great one that true horror fans know about. And so when I saw that on the list of films, I was excited. Yeah.
That was kind of a last minute addition and it just all worked out and we were really excited about it. I still get excited thinking about it. Everybody was so cool and nice and they were excited to be there and to share it. So I can't wait for that to hit streaming. So everybody else, they did recently, right before, like a couple days before MegaCon, they picked up their worldwide distribution deal. So it'll probably be within the next 6 months that you guys will be able to check that out online. So that's pretty awesome. But you can always go watch the original Mutilator. That's streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it streaming? What's it on?
I don't remember what it's on, but I know that it's streaming because I've watched it a couple times this year. It's
Make sure you get the unrated version, not the R-rated.
Unrated.
Well,
it's one of those easy watches that you can just throw on at night when you're going to sleep, and it's just a fun watch.
It is.
What got me upset, I was telling Amy about this. I actually bought that Arrow version of the original one on Blu-ray. I bought it specifically to bring with me to the fest because I knew everybody was going to be there to get them to sign all my thing, and I ended up forgetting it. So.
Oh man. Oh,
but they were so cool. They had these big, amazing posters they brought. We got some swag for them. And, I was buying up the t-shirts and the hats and, whatever I could get. I was just so grateful that they were there. But that was fun. And we want to do that again next year. We want to, in addition to having, the short films and feature films that are part of the competition, we want to, people to feel like they can come and screen their film there and make it a big event and, get that marketing in. It's really important for these filmmakers to have access to theaters to get their product out there and use it for post-production marketing and continue to just pimp their product out without, having to spend all this crazy money that we don't have because we're indie filmmakers and we have budgets. So just be able to give that platform, we're wanting to do it again. So we definitely have our eyes out of, what we're wanting to put together for next year, but definitely the same vibe and just making it bigger.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like Amy was just saying about the swag and stuff like that, that's why we put the call out to all the filmmakers that were accepted there. If you had any marketing materials or whatever it is that you had from your films, give them to us and we'll give them out because that's just another way of getting stuff and material from their movies into people's hands. I think you won
something, right? The horror trivia.
Yeah, I did. I got a couple of posters and a shirt, I think. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, we had the movie Cheryl had little mini comic books that we were giving out. That people were grabbing. That little short film in intermission. You had actual trading cards made up and T-shirts and stuff that we were giving out. So it was so cool to see people walking around with that material, knowing that your film's actually getting in other people's hands in one way or another. And like you were talking about the vibe, that's where our people there and stuff like that. How can you not tell that vibe right there from that picture?
Totally. I love the giveaway for the fetus, the little condoms.
The little condoms, yeah. Keeping America safe.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
I just loved him walking around with this umbilical cord, and they had the pregnant model and
models,
pushing the car
baby carriages.
Their marketing was so much fun, and they've been taking that around the country. They've done Days at the Dead twice and came to see us, and they had their big premiere. And they're also going to be hitting theaters in March, so definitely check out The Fetus. It stars Lauren Lavera, Bill Moseley, written and directed by Joe Lamb, and that's another indie film that you can go in the theaters and support and help them get that extended theatrical release. Because that's
another deliciously twisted flick for sure.
We're just about done right now. So before we get ready to close out, is there anything coming up that you want to let people know or let us know where they can find you on the socials?
Yeah, I just at JN Tipton on YouTube and Instagram. It's the same. And that's where I'm at. And just hopefully I'll see folks out on the festival circuit again. I'm looking forward to.
Where are you going next? Where are you going this year?
I believe on my calendar there's one in coming up at the end of March, or maybe it's mid-March in Phoenix. I want to say, I forget what it is. It's like International Horror or something. Okay. There's that one coming up. Just was only 2 weeks removed from being out there in Orlando. That was awesome.
No,
that was just so good. I mean, that was just so good. So
we're still coming down.
Yeah, it was really.
Maybe
good.
I'll see you on the road. We're going to be taking Indie Horror Junkie on the road this year, with our business and one of my films, and I'm going to be hitting up cons around the country. So maybe I'll run into it. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But we're going to kick you back in the green room to give you a proper goodbye in a minute. But thank you so much for coming on. Congratulations again on winning the short film Best of the Fest at the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival at MegaCon Orlando. We love the parcel, and you guys will be able to see it soon after it's done with its festival run.
All right, so don't hang up. We're just going to put you back in the room. We'll join you as soon as we close the show, okay?
Thanks for having me. Take care.
You got it. Thank you. All right, great show. And once again, next thing you know, you look down and it's like 2 minutes to 9. Yeesh.
I know. I love hearing the feedback from the film festival. You and I, it was such a passion project for us. It was just something that we really wanted to take to the next level from last year. We always say last year was kind of like, hello, we're here. We're the Junkies. We're running a film festival. So how can we make it fun? How can we make it different? And everything just kind of fell into place, and hearing all the positive feedback just gets us excited. So we are going to be launching opening up submissions on March 1st on filmfreeway.com. So be on the lookout for that. You can catch us. Yeah, how is that happening? How is it already March? It's tripping me out a little bit. But MegaCon is going to actually be in March of next year. So we're going to have a full year of submissions and watching films and just having fun all over again, and creating an event that you guys can be proud to be a part of. But well done. Thank you, Fire Monster.
Thank you, Fire Monster.
See you guys next week with Sigil, the winner of the feature film of the Indie Horror Junkie Film Festival Best of the Fest Award. Lots of fun, to get into with that film. Again, that was our slow burn and then bam film that you don't want to miss. So more on that next week, but that's it for tonight.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next Wednesday.
Later, Junkies.